All right. Good afternoon / evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 107 of the On Air Advocate. Where at the On Air Advocate, we look to provide education, support, and empowerment for all of those with different abilities, mental and medical illnesses, and their caregivers. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Tammy Flynn, and I am the host and producer of the On Air Advocate. And I am super excited that you are joining us here either this afternoon, evening, or whether you are catching this on the replay. Now, as you know, if you think any of the content we're talking about today could be relevant for anyone in your network, in your circle, hit the share button and share the love with others. So as you guys know, we have been in this reset series with the new year for over about 2.5 weeks now. And I am super excited to wrap up tonight with our last part of our reset series. And that is bringing my new friend here, Janis Weber Lutz, all the way from Las Vegas. She is a personal trainer, performance coach, and a DMS specialist. Welcome, Janis.
Hi, Tammy. Great to be here. Thank you.
Yes, I'm so excited because as I spoke to you about, the DMS tool, the Deep Muscle Stimulator, is something that probably for almost the last 9 months to a year, I have been looking at and investigating for my son that has multiple different chronic medical issues and different issues within his muscles, and he had a full spinal surgery, and also for myself as a caregiver with the strain on my muscles. And so, taking the dive into learning more, I know that this is used in so many different facets, from individuals to professionals. And so I can't wait for you to share more with us today.
Awesome. Yes. This is the DMS, the Deep Muscle Stimulator. And I am so happy to share this with you and your community because I am just convinced that this would be a life changer in all the best ways for so many of your people. So just a little bit about where it came from. This tool was developed by Dr. Jake Pivaroff. He was a chiropractor. He practiced in, he's now deceased, I'm sorry. He practiced in Del Mar, California. He was in practice for 22 years. And he was unsatisfied with the modalities that were available to him, such as ultrasound, heat, ice. I mean, it was just not enough for him. And as he remembered this device that his barber used to use, it was a thing that would fit on the hand and it vibrated, and he would do the, and it just made him, it made him feel so good. So he spent 6 years of research and development and trial and error and using every variable possible for something like this until he came up with this. So the very first DMS went on the market in 1999. And there's 2 patents, one on the mechanism and one on the head, because the head is where the magic is. And I love it that this is I like to say it's USA born and raised. It was created in the United States, and it's actually now produced in Minden, Nevada, where it always has been. And after 20 years on the market, this machine is exactly the same. And the reason is because it needs absolutely no improvement. There are no upgrades necessary. It's perfect. It truly is perfect.
And so what are the things, that you experience when utilizing the tool? And I know, maybe I want to back up for a second. You had talked to me a little bit about that really anybody can use this tool, right?
Exactly. This is, it's mechanically, it's a very simple machine. Let me just tell you a little bit about the machine, because it just looks kind of like what? Like, I don't know.
Like a hammer.
Like a hammer. So, it kind of is. I would call it maybe a body-friendly jackhammer.
That's awesome.
And it's wonderful. But mechanically, it's very simple. There's 2 patents. There's a patent on the motor and the mechanism, and a patent on the head. This is a very durable motor that produces vibration. This head moves, you probably can't even see that, about 1/4 of an inch, 2,200 times a minute, or that is 36.6 times a second of what's would be called percussive concussive vibration.
Oh my God.
It's very simple. It's a very simple mechanism, but what is in the head is what is the magic. There are healing elements within the head, and I don't know all of them because these are patented secrets, but I have learned that there's diamond, ruby, copper, and other elements within the head trapped in there that do something that is beyond just that percussive concussive vibration. It's more than that. And anyone who has felt this will tell you there's something going on. The first time I felt it was when I was attending a continuing education conference for my certification, NASM certification here in Las Vegas. And I had been suffering for 2 months with this pain in my upper back that every time I took a deep breath, it felt like an ice pick in my back. I was getting chiropractic treatments twice a week. I was rolling around on every ball I could find. I was getting massage. I got no relief, maybe 10 minutes of relief from the chiropractor. It was frustrating. So I went to this conference, and the doctor was there with this machine that was, this was in '02 when the machine was fairly new, and he wanted all the trainers who were in attendance there to have a taste of this thing. And I lay down, I told him where it hurts, and it was, for me, it was a life-changing experience for sure. I thought I was out of body. It was just crazy because I hadn't seen the machine. I didn't know what it was. But about 5 minutes of treatment and that pain was gone, and it never came back. It didn't come back the next day. And I said, holy cow, every client I have has something that this can fix. And I'm going to be a healer, not just a builder of bodies. And that just struck a chord in my soul that I had to have this. So I got it, learned how to use it. And honestly, there's a very shallow learning curve to using it. I went to Del Mar to pick up my machine, and I was peppering Dr. Jake with all these questions. How do you do this? How do I do that? He kept saying this to me: the machine will teach you. And I'm like, it's a machine. So he was so right, because the machine teaches you how to use it. There's just a couple of do's and don'ts, and the rest is just a very shallow learning curve, how to effectively create change for either yourself or the person you're caring for, or both, and your family, and everybody that you get it on is going to say, I've got somebody I know who needs that.
I mean, what would some of those, like we talked about before the show, some of those contraindications, some of those do's and don'ts? Because obviously much of our community, either they're caring for somebody with a chronic illness, or maybe they have a chronic illness themselves.
Yes.
And so it's great to know what are kind of the do's and don'ts.
Right. Well, do's are this. The machine was made to treat soft tissue. So you're going to keep it off of bones.
Okay.
It's not going to break anything. And I've treated very frail, elderly, osteoporotic. I just put toweling on them to buffer the vibration a little bit and give me a smooth surface to work on. And if someone is very frail, I'm going to put more padding on them. It doesn't diminish the effectiveness, but it just makes it more comfortable for both of us. So in terms of the don'ts, the number one don't would be, you don't want to use this on someone wearing a pacemaker.
Okay.
Could interfere with that
frequency.
Yeah. I don't use this over any surgically implanted metal.
Okay.
I don't use it over artificial joints. And, I'm not sure, once a joint is settled and out, it's over a year old, I don't know if I wouldn't maybe just get close to it, but maybe not directly on it. And I'm not sure that you could honestly destabilize metal that's been in there for some time. But to be safe and to be prudent, I just don't work over any metal. I don't work on artificial joints, and I don't work on young children. This machine produces such circulation, massive circulation, which is one of the healing properties of it, but that can affect growth plates in a growing child. Mm-hmm. So young children, I personally don't like to work on someone under 16.
Okay.
And for the same reasons, pregnant mothers. Okay. I don't like to work on, I've never had this happen, but I would not want to work over a cancerous metastasis. I think that would be flirting with who knows what, but I wouldn't like to do that. But that's it, really. Those are the only do's and don'ts. And then after that, honestly, the machine teaches you how to use it.
Now, quick question. If, let's say, you have an artificial knee on, you know what I'm saying, or something artificial in your body, you just wouldn't work over that large area. You would work their hip, you know what I'm saying, if their hips aren't fake, or, you know what I'm saying, artificial or metal, or if you have any metal in your body, would you say not to work? If you have
I would just stay away from the specific area of metal. For someone, I've worked on artificial knee recipients, but I'm working on their quadriceps.
Okay.
I'm working on their calf, their hamstrings, the thigh or the lower leg.
From the section that has.
Yeah. Yes. And the same might go for let's say an acute injury. Mm-hmm. A few years ago, I tore my hamstrings. I had it worked over my glutes and my calf, not on the acute area, in order to create this massive circulation, blood flow that's so healing through the acute area. So I will work above and below, but not directly on something that is, a sprain that just happened yesterday or something like that. Right. Might be a little too intense for that. The depth of this, this moves 1/4 of an inch, but the depth into the body that you are working on is 4 inches. Now imagine that, 4 inches into a body. You're getting the effect of the vibration. So there's a depth that's almost unimaginable. And the first thing that people will say when I start working on them, and I like to explain all the stuff that nobody explained to me the first time and kind of sent me into that out-of-body experience. I want them to feel it. It's 8 pounds. It's like a hammer. It's like, I tell them everything that I'm going to do, but the very first thing that people will say is, "Oh, that's so deep." Yeah, that's like the main wonderful thing about it, and then the next words out of their mouth is, "Oh, it feels so good," and it really does.
Now, you had spoken with me a little bit about myofascial release and whatnot. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yes, absolutely. And that is what we're after. Now, you or your community may be familiar with foam rolling. Mm-hmm. It's a way of...
We can probably still explain it. There's all different densities of foam that you can lay down on the floor, roll over
right. So when you're foam rolling, you're slowly searching for that spot that's like, found it. There's going to be a spot that is painful. I mean, it may register as a 9 all of a sudden. And if you hold on that for 25, 35, 45 seconds, the mechanoreceptors in that area are communicating with the nervous system, and that 9 might go down to a 3. And then you might start rolling on it. Well, with the DMS, because of the depth and the rate of vibration, for one thing, we're going to get feedback out of the tissues that is unlike anything else. Where that foam roll, pardon me, that foam roll is going to be like, oh, no, what I hear from this is someone will say, oh, right there, right. And we can find, because of the feedback that you are getting out of your own tissues, we can locate that 1 in a million spot that would otherwise be kind of, someone would say, it kind of hurts right over. Yeah. This finds the one spot that is the trigger for the area. And we stay on that one spot for 45 seconds or so. I move very slowly because I don't want to startle that area. I want to work with those mechanoreceptors, the muscle spindle, and then the Golgi tendon organ, and have that area calm down. And that's what it does. And myofascial release is a calming, a release of spasticity. And that's really the wonderful thing about this, is the way that it communicates with the nervous system to remove spasticity. Okay. And I'll be watching someone's breathing while I'm working on them. I've had this in my hands for 16 years, and I feel through it. I can feel things. I feel the way the body is responding to it, and I can tell all kinds of things because of the way the tissues are responding. I can tell when there's spasticity. Sometimes there's involuntary movement because we're striking a nerve that's causing movement. But I'm looking for body language, and the thing that I'm looking for, and I see every time, is somebody does this. They take a deep breath and they just sigh. And it's their body sighing. It is their body saying, oh, finally some relief. It's profound. It's profound, and it's very meaningful. And people will get up for, I don't put words in people's mouths or heads. I want to hear their communication with me. But the word that I hear so often is light. People say, oh, I just feel light. I go, that is fantastic, because we all know what heavy feels like. Right. Pain, heavy, stiffness, pain, loss of range of motion. To feel light is a wow. And it's
a wonderful feeling.
It
now
is.
For the DMS, I know that in looking at different literature and whatnot, that there are many different scopes of practices that use it. And yes. So what are some of those that, someone might find? So let's say, obviously you're in Las Vegas and you do treatments of this, but yes. If somebody isn't in Las Vegas and they're not going to purchase a tool for themselves, what are some different professions that they may find someone who utilizes a tool like this?
You may find a chiropractor who is using it. Obviously, Dr. Jake was a chiropractor. I know of several practices in my area that use the DMS, and what they're using it for is to reduce and remove the spasticity out of that area that the chiropractor is then going to adjust, and it's going to allow for a very easy adjustment. And because the soft tissue has stopped, holding itself in a fist, it's going to create a long-lasting adjustment or long-lasting pain relief. Physical therapists, there are a lot of physical therapy offices that utilize the DMS. Massage therapists. To me, if I were a massage therapist, I would have one of these because it would save my own joints, for goodness sakes. I've treated a lot of massage therapists because their hands, their elbows, their shoulders are a wreck in no time. So this would elongate their career. And then there are people who just have one because they have arthritis, and frequent treatments just keep their arthritis at bay, or they've got some kind of range of motion issue or some spasticity issue that this will just completely take that away. MS, I have treated many people with MS, and this will stop for maybe, I have one gal that I treat for 10 days. It will stop her tremors.
Okay. So she gets treatments then.
Yes. I see some people for maybe 2, 3, 4 times in a row with a few days between to just completely eradicate that thing that was bothering them. I see some people once a week. They like to they just love it, and it keeps them in optimized condition. I see people just periodically, they come for a tune-up. That thing that we worked on, is sort of starting to threaten again. They come back in and get redone. But, honestly, I have hundreds of people it was like a one-shot miracle too, where they had this thing that kept them from enjoying their golf or their backpacking or walking.
Right.
And, just 1 or 2 treatments and it was resolved.
Well,
But,
oh, go on.
no, go ahead. What were you going to
Well, and I
say?
was going to say that, I'm excited when you sit, and especially for those parents out there, individuals that visit physical therapy a lot, and you're always going, and maybe they don't utilize a tool like this, but you continue to have, my son has extreme hypertone in his legs, and, over and over and over again, and you're trying to treat with therapy, and you're trying to do stretching at home, you're trying to do other things. I always tell people it may not be the perfect fit, but it's always good to try other modalities to see if you can relax those muscles,
Exactly.
because if you're pounding against the pavement and it's not working, and you're going and you're going and you're going, the only way you're ever going to get results is to try something different. So for our community and others that are listening, what would you say? Because this was one of the first devices built, has the patent on many different things, but I'm sure that when anything is really good, people like to mimic sometimes, what I'm saying, what others
Yes.
produce and do. What are some warnings that you would give when people are looking for a device like this? So if, they see this here, but they came across 5 others, what I'm saying, of different quality online, what would be kind of your, your warning to them, or to be a smart consumer, make sure you've done this homework first before you dive into purchasing one of these, especially if it's going to be for more home care for caregivers?
Exactly. Well, this machine is not it's not cheap. It's $2,700, $2,799. But it is the gold standard. There is nothing on the market that comes close, even any kind of close. There is a Chinese knockoff of this. It has a different head. Now, I think you can see this has a flat head, which it covers a greater area. Imagine if there was a round head, you've only got one very tiny point of articulation between the head and the surface that you're working on, whereas this is flat and has a whole different dynamic because of that. The knockoffs from China cannot be repaired. They fall apart. They're cheap. They're like $400, $600.
Okay.
They fall apart, and they don't have any kind of way of being repaired. So you're wasting your money. There's a tool called a Theragun, and my apologies if anybody owns one, but it's kind of a skill saw remake, It's noisy, it's light, and it just sort of clatters around, makes a lot of noise without much
result.
depth of treatment.
Mhm.
So this machine is over 16 years old. I run
Mhm.
this almost daily and sometimes for hours a day. This machine is as good as new. There's something to be said for quality that
Right, right.
is simply, you're just not going to get that from the knockoffs. And what are the knockoffs of? They're of the DMS. They're, they're trying
Right,
to be
what
the
it is.
DMS.
So, I mean, I would say too, a support, if you're purchasing a product, I always tell people, make sure that there's a good support behind that. So if there is a problem with the product, you can call the company, you can find out, information. If you need more
Yes.
information about how to utilize it and whatnot, there's videos and there's things, to go with it. So,
When you purchase, you get an instructional DVD that tells you a lot of what you need to know.
right.
And like Dr. Jake said, the machine is going to teach you. You get a very nice padded bag that fits everything. You get all of the, has a 12-foot cord, so you don't have to be stuck against a wall working on it. You have a great deal of range of motion of the machine itself. So, and the DMS office is open for business all the time. You can talk to an actual human being. I had to send mine in because my cord frayed at the end, and that's just from so much movement over so many years.
Yeah.
I had it back within a few days, and he took it apart, greased it up, and it's like
Made it
the
all new again.
service, the quality of service is very, very user friendly, very customer friendly.
Yeah, I always say, I mean, it's just very, very important as, we go through our journeys as to be smart consumers with anything that we're looking at to utilize on ourselves or our loved ones and, to do our research. And so really from every end of the different professionalism, and I know I have some of the charts, but I was very impressed. I had gotten before the interview, just some different, charting and whatnot that can come with the information, which just showed me,
Right.
that the company takes very seriously, where they're targeting things and putting
Yes.
together. And for like the physical therapy, network,
Yes.
the chiropractor network. So,
Yes.
and sports.
This that I have in my hand here is an EMG, an electromyography report on a 55-year-old man. They were studying the range of motion, the resisted range of motion of this motion here with the shoulder, which for a lot of people is an issue because of rotator cuff. So this is a 5-minute treatment, and there's a dramatic change in the range of motion and the pain-free range of motion pre and post treatment. And there's a lot of studies that have been done by this and that university about the DMS. So there's adequate research information out there to support why you would want to have one of these.
Right.
So the thing about I didn't get quite to the myofascial release part of it. The interesting thing about fascia. Now, fascia, there's a lot of research being done on fascia. Fascia is connective tissue. It's collagen and water. It's about 70% water, but it is the stuff that organizes and connects everything to everything in our bodies, and it is incredibly important. And they've discovered that fascia has nerve endings itself, not just muscle and tendon and the fascia that holds everything together has nerve endings, and there's pain produced in the fascia from a lack of gliding and a lack of moisture. So the DMS treats that fascia, and especially the really deep fascia that can have such a profound effect on range of motion and pain, stiffness, and just well-being. So because of the 4-inch deep penetration of the vibration, you are able to get into this fascia and find the connections that are really vital for correcting pain, because just because you feel a pain somewhere doesn't mean that that's where it's coming from. It could be generated somewhere else. And the DMS has a very interesting way of connecting those dots. And I have found this over and over. We've been able to find something that was really elusive. And especially when other sort of diagnostic scanning comes up empty-handed. You know, it's like, I've had the MRI, I had the this, the that, and nothing showed anything. I'll bet it's in the fascia. And the DMS treats fascia extremely well. So
I mean, for
that,
our chronic pain community, that's a huge thing, because so much with chronic pain, they can't pinpoint where that pain is coming from.
exactly.
And obviously, medications forever is not the answer to things. So
No.
definitely.
And we get a long lasting pain relief because of the way that the DMS communicates through the nervous system. We get a remessaging to that area because of the muscle contractions that are stimulated by vibration. We get a complete, almost complete 98% muscle recruitment, contract, relax, 36.6 times a second. That is a lot of contraction for the nervous system to be able to identify muscle fiber and have a conversation back and forth between the part and the nervous system and cause long-lasting changes. And I think that's something that, what else does that?
Right,
You know?
right. Well, like I said, when we talk about chronic pain and all of that, you know, that's something that people live with forever and never have an answer. So
Right.
if it can aid in any way, it is worth that. So we are going to do, before we wrap up today, a demo, right?
Yeah, I have my friend Jack right here, and I'm going to just put a little toweling over his trapezius area. This is such a trouble spot for so many people, and the neck. And I want to show you that I can work all the way up into the neck safely. I've treated hundreds of people, and I have not hurt anyone ever. I've not caused any damage. So the DMS, for all of its depth and profound wonderfulness, it is safe. So I hold it up high because, you know, I'm a 5'2" woman, you know, and I like to put my fingers around the head, so that for me, it's almost like a two-handed kind of a movement. I work very slowly, and I'm looking for that spot. And someone is going to say, oh, right there, right there, right there. And when that right there happens, then I stay on it. I stay on it for that 45 seconds. Okay. And that initial, the first response that was kind of like, oh, right there, becomes sort of like, oh, well, it's gone. It's gone. Okay, and then I'll move it just slightly, and it'll be like, oh yeah. Because that initial spot maybe wasn't a spot, maybe it was an area. And I'll search for the margins of that painful area until it is cleared out. So there's a muscle that attaches right here at the top of the scapula that runs up the neck that is just a bear. It is a problem for so many people. And I'll just come right up through the soft area. I'm staying off the spine. I like to go right up next to it, but not right directly on it.
It's making me want a treatment right now.
Oh my gosh. And this is the limitation that we have, Tammy. Mm-hmm. You can't feel this.
Right.
You know, I'll tell people, you could be standing right next to someone who's being treated, and you have no idea what they're feeling. They are having a life experience.
Mm-hmm.
The
Now,
first time
on the DMS website, does it say where there are people across the United States that are?
Yes, DMS, I would call the office. I would call and talk to Patty Piveroff, and
Okay.
that is Dr. Jake's widow, and she knows where all the machines are.
Okay.
She knows where they are, and I mean, maybe for liability purposes, they may not be able to endorse everybody. They don't know how everyone is using the machine necessarily, but they know where their machines are, and they could direct you to offices where they are, and they could where you could go, let's say, and get
try
get
what
a
it's like in case
have a taste of it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Jack. How's that feel? All right. He's very pink on the surface right now because there's so much blood flow into the area that wasn't there before.
So
thank you, Jack.
In the use of that, when after you're done doing a treatment, should you be drinking a great amount of water?
Yes.
Do with having
absolutely. Dr. Jake was such a character, and he would say, "Don't tell me it doesn't work if you don't drink the water." And he told me the first time that he worked on me, he said, "Drink 20 ounces of water right now." And the reason is, what we're doing with the DMS, we are like squeezing out a sponge of old water. And that sponge is going to refill with better water. And you're actually going to end up being greater hydrated through the area that you're working on than you were before. And so you need that water. Most of us are walking around like raisins anyway. We need a lot more water than we consume. We get used to being thirsty, and it's probably the number one thing that we could change that would make the biggest difference.
Yes, that it would be easy to change that.
Yes.
Well, I can't wait to try a treatment. So I either need to find someone.
Come to Las Vegas.
Next time I'm
in the casinos and come and get DMS.
Anyone who's going to Vegas, that's what you can do. We can have like a group to go there. But definitely, we're going to drop below this live. The DMS website will also put a phone number below this live so that people can call. Because I would think, obviously, being a good consumer, if you do have someone in your area that's reputable that uses one, it's probably good to either take your young adult or yourself, if you're going for yourself, and possibly try it out first. You know, to see if it is an investment.
Right. And you know, that said, let's say there was nobody around with a machine and that you can't get to. If I could just say, you will never be sorry. That money that I spent on this machine is the best money I have ever spent in my life. This has changed the lives of so many people I can't even remember after all these years. But it's actually been a life changer. And I get to see the before and the after face. And I get to see someone go, "Oh, I haven't been able to do that in 10 years." You know, I mean, it is that dramatic, Tammy. I know it all sounds like hyperbole, but this machine is all that you want it to be. It's amazing.
And you yourself were someone who experienced that for your own health, you know, all of that. And clearly the tool, because I've seen it used quite a bit in the athlete realm as well. So when we talk about sports, you know, this whole sports athletic end of things, this tool is used quite a bit in that area. So we know that
every team has one or two or three, and their players they love it because it gets their injured players back on the field quickly. It's a healer. It stimulates healing. It causes much more rapid healing than would be without treatment. And even the high school teams have their own DMS because it's so helpful.
Oh, yeah,
it's amazing.
So I personally am on my way to trying to get one sooner than later. We actually start more physical therapy tomorrow morning, and we've been pounding this for years, for like 20 years.
Right.
So for
So
legs,
like with your son, I wouldn't work his spine. Obviously, he's
right,
got
but his
a
legs are
fusion, but his legs
Mhm,
and his hips and
mhm.
his gluteus and his legs. Oh my goodness. I wish I were there right now.
Well, maybe we'll come to Vegas.
Okay, please do.
You might want to go in the casinos too. So on that, Janice, I thank you so much for spending almost the last hour with us on your afternoon there and our evening here. I am very, very jealous of your sunshine, and we have snow here.
Yeah. It's about 62 degrees and clear as can
Oh,
be today.
that's so nice.
We had winter week last week.
Okay,
We
was
have
that
a couple of
pretty?
weeks every year that it's kind of like winter. We've got snow on our mountains,
Okay.
but we've got sunshine in the valley.
So you're good. You are good. So I just wanted to thank you so much for spending this time sharing all of this wonderful information with our community tonight. We are going to drop phone numbers as well as emails, websites, and any articles. Some of these handouts that we might drop below there too. So anything that you
Yes. And
benefit
feel free to share my contact. I'd be happy to talk with anybody who wants more information.
Okay, that sounds great. So on that note, thank you so much, Janice. Thank you all
My
for
pleasure.
watching this afternoon and evening. If you guys want to know any more about the On Air Advocate services, you can go right on over to onairadvocate.com and you'll find them all there. Also, if you want to become part of our private community, head up to the top of this Facebook page, hit the blue button, and that will let you into our private group. So on that note, everybody have a fabulous rest of your afternoon and night, and happy Wednesday. And thank you, Janice.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Tammy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.